in the 1930s, to combat what people saw as immorality in the film industry, the Hays Office was created, and then shortly after, a more aggressive institution, which was the Legion of Decency, which was instituted by the Catholic Church, was created to help the morals of the United States. And in the 1950s, the communist blacklist, and this may have started in the late 1940s, but the communist blacklist also began, which was instituted by the film industry to promote, good American values, or what they saw as good American values. And that was on until, I believe, the 1960s, when Kirk Douglas just flat out hired the writer Trombone, for the writer that was blacklisted. And then in the late 1960s, things like the Hays Office and the Legion of Decency, which was still around, I believe, even until I think maybe even the 1980s, just posting films not to see. And I think any R-rated film was probably on the list not to see, but became a rating system. And that kind of ended that. So the blacklist ended, and and basically the Hays Office was kind of done with, and also the Legion of Decency was really weakened because they basically had no standing to censor films anymore, and all was fair game for cinema. And there's always been fights from the conservatives for a long time to censor things that were offensive to Christians, and I would also say maybe Jews as well, to the religious community, the Judeo-Christian society, and they were there to censor what was offensive to their sensibilities. Now, for a long time, the left controlled the dialogue on civil rights and racism. In comes the internet, and the media, which controls these kinds of things, had competition and a challenge to the narrative of racism and civil rights and what was right and what was moral. The leftist civil rights movement. I'm hearing a siren in the background. I don't know if it's going to come on to the show, but the leftists, to control that movement, created hate speech. I should jump further that Congress made 230 so they wouldn't get sued, so we could have an open forum. I thought, anyway, that we could have an open forum to discuss things and have open debate. But just as conservative, just as I guess the religious right wanted to have control over what people saw and heard, well, the same is done with the the social justice warriors. They do not want to be challenged, and they will punish you if they challenge you. In in a lot of ways, it really does no good to engage them. So the one way to deal with cancel culture is strive never to engage them, particularly if they're angry. Now, if they're willing to talk to you and discuss with you certain things, have an open discussion. But if a person's angry, walk away. And this will be day one, by the way, that I will not be engaging with leftists at all. I have engaged, but unless they engage with me and they're polite, I will not engage. If a person doesn't, a lot of these people don't want to hear anything. So, and it's unfortunate that we cannot have discussions, but that's where we are at. Another thing I'm doing is I'm fasting. This is going to be my 4th day of fasting. And it also brings in that strength that I don't need as much from you. I don't need as much food. I could say I don't need as much water, but of course, to live, of course I'm going to need food. I'm going to eat sooner or later. But I've been a food degenerate for quite some time, and I have a lot of storage when it comes to food. So, again, day 4 of not eating, and day 1 of not engaging with a leftist. And I don't want to engage also with angry people. I think anger is a destructive emotion. I mean, it's one thing to feel angry. That's like it is nature, just as hunger. The feeling of hunger. The feeling of arousal. Those are all natural, but you don't necessarily want to act upon that. So, as of now, I'm not engaging. I may engage only to expose, but the truth is, at this point in time, the establishment is left. The establishment supports cancel culture. I don't know how deep and how strong cancel culture is, but I've heard people make rather non-controversial statements online and be fired for that. I want to have a place that does fight back against this kind of thing and against what I see as hypocrisy, and give us an open forum and give people an open forum and open like the court of public opinion. I'm hoping that that this place, Transparency and Merit, is that it is the court of public opinion, and you can decide whether or not what the truth is and what is lies. At this point, we really don't have that. The tech industry has their beliefs and has their philosophy. I've become a big fan, by the way, of Tim Pool, although he talks about going woke and going broke, but then he also states that there's money to be made in some of the wokeness. I have to disagree with him on this one, that there's like that it's financial that is motivating this. This is ego and the belief that they are right. It is a For me, I believe it's a religious belief. And it's kind of like when you talk to a leftist, it's like you're talking to a religious fanatic. You're not doing any good by engaging with this person, for the most part. Maybe at some point they'll come out of their fanaticism, but when they're caught up in their fanaticism, it does no good to engage them. They cannot see reality the way you see it. And, we all have emotional beliefs. I mean, we all have emotion tied to our beliefs, whether we like that or not. So, again, this will be, hopefully if I go to Friday for my fast, that will be my record. I've only gone 5 days with fasting. So right now I'm not hungry. So I'm going to see how well I'm going to do. And I think it's important to be disciplined and control your anger, because the decks are stacked against you, and you have to know when to fight and when to flee. And you cannot do that if you are overcome with anger. Anyway, this is Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like and subscribe. And, if you want to, maybe even hit the bell notification to be notified of shows that I do. And if you don't like it, I would like it if you left a comment down below on what you thought and how you felt. Anyway, like I said, like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. And if you put a thumbs down, I've had 1 or 2 people put thumbs down. If you can tell me why you believe this is worthy of a thumbs down, and I may take that into consideration. Although if you're a leftist, you're probably not going to give me a reason. And I've said before, I'm not going to engage with you. If you come to me, I'll engage with you if you're polite. If you're not polite, forget it. All right, this is Brian with Transparency and Merit. Enjoy the rest of your day.